Hultgren. The gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Holdren, is recognized for his questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Holdren, good to see you. According to my count, I think this is the fourth time that you and I have had the opportunity to discuss the President's science priorities. And I want to start by just saying I appreciate you, I respect you, but I have to tell you I'm disappointed in the President and I'm disappointed in your office. I think the President likes to give great speeches about science, but I don't think he actually really understands the importance of pure discovery research. And if you look at the chart that I've got here in my hand and that we've got up on the board, I see no evidence that you or the President have given a second thought to the input from this committee over the last several years. This chart tells the same story it does as the chart I showed you last year. The President favors massive increases to his pet projects in the alternative energy sector, and the closer the investment gets to pure discovery science, the less he cares about them. When it comes to high energy physics, he once again wants to use it as a piggy bank to pay for other things. You said a year ago that you were not content for us to leave the future of cutting-edge facilities in high-energy physics to the rest of the world, but that we were constrained and that everybody knows the budget challenges under which we are operating. And I look at the President's budget request this year and I find myself thinking, sure, you can use that as a convenient excuse to cut high-energy physics yet again, but does an almost 40% increase in ARPA-E and an almost 60% increase in EERE strike you as constrained approaches? Does yet another real dollar cut to high-energy physics strike you as supportive of high-energy physics?
Well, let me say that, first of all, as I know you know, we are in a world of pain when it comes to the amounts of money available to us overall. I mentioned in my opening remarks that areas that were increased had to be balanced by areas that were decreased. And difficult choices were made in that domain, and reasonable people can disagree about what the most reasonable pattern of decisions would have been. But we are maintaining a world-leading program in neutrino physics at the Fermi Lab. Which
well, let me jump in on that real quickly. Particle physics has been singled out by the administration for decreased investment year after year. It lost annual purchasing power of almost 25% in the last decade, which is in direct contrast to every other program in the Office of Science. Bill Brinkman, in the recent testimony to Congress, stated that we have squeezed too hard. Yet you and President Obama continue to decrease investment in this important area of basic research, as shown again in the latest budget request. How is this consistent with maintaining a position of leadership in the world in basic scientific research?
Well, first of all, we have benefited from a very high degree of international collaboration in this domain, which has saved us some money. The extraordinary work to discover the Higgs boson, which took place at CERN in Switzerland, was carried out with enormously elaborate, expensive detectors and teams from the United States. So the fact that it took place in Switzerland on a machine, much of which was paid for by other countries, saved us money, but it did not diminish U.S. leadership.
Well, I would say it did. I think that should have happened here. I think we could have done much of that here. To maintain a position of leadership in any domain of particle physics, the plan of the U.S. community are to define leadership at the intensity frontier, where the focus of the greatest flux of particles, not the highest energy. The LBNE, as you mentioned, is a key facility necessary to establishing leadership in the area of particle physics. Why is investment decreasing in LBNE in fiscal year 14 at a critical time, again, when strong international participation is being sought?
There is funding for the LBNE within the Office of Science request for 2014. We continue to support it. And we believe that the overall plan that we're working to develop for out-year support for facilities will be able to support the LBNE. We have no disagreement with you about the importance of the intensity frontier. And
I appreciate your agreement, but it just doesn't follow up with the budget plans. There's cuts there, and I think it really does send a very poor message. When we are out there seeking international partners, we are at the leadership of neutrino research, and yet we are undercutting these programs. I just want to show my time is running out, but latest edition of Scientific American talks about strange, surprising neutrino physics. Much of the research, again, that's going on with LBNE. But from that, on the cover, they're featuring neutrinos. Particle physics has never been more exciting. As you mentioned, we have seen remarkable advances with the discovery of the Higgs and crucial measurements of the properties of neutrinos. These discoveries have had important participation from American scientists, as you mentioned, but they've really been led and enabled by facility investments in Europe and China. It seems to me that the President's budget plan that you're defending cedes American leadership in high energy physics to Europe and China. And my time is up, but just to kind of highlight that again, I was looking back through your testimony of last year and reading through, and I'll point you to the second page of your testimony today, the bottom paragraph. It's interesting because you had that exact same paragraph in your testimony last year, but one thing was changed, and that is last year, you talked about these three jewel-in-the-crown agencies, referring to NSF, Office of Science, and you've taken that out in your most recent, the idea of the jewel-in-the-crown agencies. It's the only thing that's removed from that paragraph. And my fear is that's exactly what's happening. We're taking away, by undercutting the investment in these important programs, we're taking away and ceding our leadership opportunity. My time has expired. I do appreciate you so much and the work you're doing. I know these are difficult times, but this is the stuff we've got to do. And so I ask and implore and look for ways that we can be working together to strengthen this investment and see where we can be taking money, again, where huge increases have happened in certain areas, and put it back where we absolutely have to be doing it, where the market can't do it in basic scientific research. With that, I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you, Mr.